She was humiliated by everyone because of her body appearance for being a woman, and that was a serious mistake on their part because what she did was amazing. Hello, welcome, like, subscribe and turn on notifications. Mariana has always been a very shy woman and withdrawn. She was the type of person that unfortunately no one noticed her presence for her. That was very embarrassing. Because when she spoke, people changed the subject or ignored her as if she didn't exist at school. Mariana didn't seem to care about the jokes because she knew that if her colleagues noticed it then it would be much worse because things like that had already happened. This happened to her once. She tried to impose herself so that some other classmates would respect her, but other girls joined them and began to offend and humiliate poor Mariana. Even so, she had excellent grades and her teachers always told her that she had a great power to change the world, but Mariana didn't believe that. She herself always put herself down due to so many frustrations she went through so young. At home, when she was still a girl, her mother and father were not the best examples of parents, because her mother was an internationally recognized model and did not see the same potential in her daughter. Mariana got good grades and tried to show her mother. She ignored her daughter and carried on with her chores. Her father was a great businessman, but he didn't have faith either that their daughter would take the company forward. For her father, Mariana was a mistake in the couple's life, and for them she could take the bad slate. In total, like this, the couple decided to have another son, Ka, who was extremely beautiful for them and without times better than Mariana in everything. From their perspective, the brothers were 3 years apart in age, but because Koa had the qualities that his parents thought essential in people, they treated him like a more special way. But Ka was different. Even though he was younger and had little experience, he admired and protected his sister from bullies and people who wanted to treat her with disrespect. Ka got into trouble at school to protect his sister, and that left his parents worried because they thought Mariana was a bad influence on him. His parents considered sending Mariana to study abroad for a while to separate she and Cowan, but Cowan put his foot down and imposed himself so that this did not happen, and told his parents that if Mariana left then he would be the worst example of a person in life, and his parents forgot this idea. Even so, with the defense and the love of his brother, Mariana was very incredulous that his life could improve because in his view the world treated him badly, which was true, but Cowan did not accept that the world treating her sister with a lack of respect. The brothers grew up. Ka had several girlfriends, but Mariana had never dated in her life because the boys cared too much about appearance, and when they showed something for her it was only interest in her money, and that made Mariana sad or desolate in life. Both the brothers graduated, but Cowan did not want to take over the family business, and he had a strong will to impose himself and say no to his parents, and as he already had his job and wanted to be a free spirit, he decided to go out into the world and disappear from the sight of his parents who wanted to control his life. But Mariana's father didn't want her leading his company because he thought she was weak and without determination, but for some reason for the first time her father felt guilty, responsible for having failed to educate his daughter to be a true lioness. But he thought he didn't have time for that, so like Mariana's parents, as they got older they worried about the future of their companies and wanted Mariana to marry someone they thought was suitable and who could honestly manage all of their companies' life for her, but she didn't have the strength to give her cry of independence yet. That way she accepted that her parents, they chose a suitor for her. In one of her father's companies there was a man called Edgar who was intelligent, honest, and very dedicated to his work. Mariana's father proposed that he meet his daughter and all the benefits he would have if he married her. Edgar, he already knew Mariana by sight, but for him the idea of marrying her would be something unimaginable, as it would be a great punishment in his conception. But the wealth and empire of Mariana's parents, they called his attention because all that could be hers, and he accepted it as a challenge. When they met, Mariana was enchanted by Edgar. She had never seen a man so handsome in her life, and she fell madly in love with him that she didn't discuss anything with her father or mother. Ka, her brother, received the news that his gentle sister was going to get married, and when he found out who she was, he was totally against the marriage, to the point of argue ugly with your sister. Cowan said he would never approve of this marriage and wouldn't even go to the party, but on the day his sister needed him, all she had to do was call him during the engagement. He went out with Mariana a few times to get to know her better, and he didn't seem to like her at all. A body that society calls perfect. Her hair was plain. She didn't care so much about her appearance and didn't care about fine. But Mariana was very intelligent and polite, but she seemed like a child that everyone took advantage of. Mariana thought that one day Edgar would love her as she did, but she was wrong. The big wedding day Mariana finally arrived. She was very nervous as she didn't have many friends at the party. It was small and simple. Edgar was serious and with a frown on his face, and Mariana's father called him to talk and demanded grandchildren. For Edgar that it was the last straw, but Ernesto, Mariana's father, said that it had to be that way or he would make the farce end right there. Edgar, so he agreed without a second thought. They got married, and for Mariana it was the happiest day of her life, but for Edgar it was a terrible day. Even so, they had a couple of children. Mariana had a housewife life that was perfect for her. She took care of her children and treated her husband well, but Edgar didn't reciprocate so much love and showed her anger by looking. Mariana always thought she had done something wrong and tried harder and harder in marriage, but it was in vain. Mariana noticed that she and her husband had not been related as a couple for a long time, years, and her brother Ka said over the phone that maybe he had other women. Mariana cried with the pain of doubt, but chose not to believe. She preferred to go on with her life with doubt than taking away her children. They were already 12 and 13 years old each, and only her children. And Cowan, her brother, treated her with the respect that she deserved. Edgar, for many years, he would come home late and say that it was due to the work that was very demanding, but Mariana, deep down from her soul, she knew it wasn't true. Edgar sure got caught up in his work again, and she was leaving the house. Edgar's dinner at the company, because he hadn't gone to dinner, and when he got there it was very late at night. She saw a scene that broke her heart. Edgar kissing and hugging his secretary. They had a relationship for years. Susie, the secretary, always asked when he would go separate from that woman, and he replied that he couldn't because he had an agreement with her father and mother to have inheritance rights, and leaving the company, Mariana cried and left without anyone. Vice versa. For days Mariana just suffered in silence, but she thought about everything that had happened to her. For her whole life she suffered various types of humiliations. No one cared about her well-being, only Ka and her children. Her parents were incredulous of her ability. Her classmates from high school and college always laughed and defamed her, and it all came together in a huge ball. From Neve, something in Mariana woke up, and a strange feeling began to grow inside her. Mariana remembered a movie she had watched where a housewife was humiliated by everyone for being too nice. Her husband had an affair with another and nobody liked her, so Mariana looked in the mirror and said to herself that now everyone would see her true self. But some days they passed and Edgar continued to treat her without respect, but this time something was different. Mariana, but he didn't notice, but his children did. As soon as Edgar left for work, Anna and Rena, their children, spoke to her. Although very young, they were very smart and said that their mother, one of them, could count on everything she needed because they couldn't bear to see how much she suffered at the hands of others. Mariana smiled happily and hugged her children. 3 months passed and an anonymous complaint was made to an investigative body of fraud, and the body began to investigate about it, and upon completion it was concluded that a corruption and money laundering scheme was being carried out in the company that Edgar managed. He was booked in flagrante delicto. A judgment was held and he had to pay for everything that caused the company. What else? What left Edgar intrigued was how his perfect scheme had been discovered. But days before this event, Mariana visited the company, and as she was one of the owners, she had free access to all documents and files, so it was easy for her to verify that her husband was doing something behind his back of her parents and her years. Edgar's mistress was fired and sued for also being his accomplice in everything. For all her conduct, Edgar was forbidden to arrive close to her children and couldn't see them anymore. Now Mariana's parents were ruined with everything. What happened because a big scandal like this one made their companies lose value in the market. A big layoff of employees was carried out to cut costs. A few months had passed, maybe 8, and Mariana accepted herself as she was. She got tired of trying to please everyone. She became looked in the mirror and stopped having ashamed of herself, and for the first time she loved herself when she saw her reflection in the mirror. Her children were happy with the drastic change in their mother's life, but their parents' companies could go bankrupt due to the anonymous tip they made. But there was a light at the end tunnel, so Mariana went to her parents' house and she was unrecognizable. The woman who was once shy and without a shred of light was now active, determined, and imposing around her. Point of her presence being noticed from a distance. Her parents were incredulous with this wonderful vision of their daughter. She told them that she could save all the family companies because although she had been a person who didn't have much attitude for the things in life, she had money for it. That's why she majored in economics. She saved money and invested it for long years. From stocks to real estate funds, among other forms of investments, she became very rich without her having to rely on her parents' money. And that it would be for her to call the shots now. She wanted to be the president of the companies, of all of them. For that Ernesto would have to sell his shares at a bargain price, but she would do it. A wonderful life. Her parents, they agreed. Marlene, her mother, was amazed and proud of how her daughter was now cow distance. Never had she been so happy to hear the news of her sister. Mariana entered her company. Everyone who opened up was amazed at her imposing, determined air. Mariana turned into a real lioness in the family business, and so from a kitten in defense of a lioness relentless, she made her story in the corporate world. Mariana managed to get around the financial crisis and tripled her family's equity, becoming the best manager of the entire family business in years. Hope you enjoyed the short story. Subscribe and share. Thanks for watching.